Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Farmers Academy. I hope you're all doing great today. I'm Patricia, your RA bestie, and I'm here today to give you major CV tips, especially for regulatory affairs openings. Okay, you know I'm the RA babe. You know I'm your RA bestie. I gotta give you some plugs, okay? Some RA specific plugs. Now, I've seen a lot of CVs. We hire, we recruit, we do a lot of CV help for our residents and our learners who do our short courses at the academy. So, whenever somebody's done with their training and are ready to start applying for work, we review CVs, we add specific CV skills and statements, opening profiles, and things that will improve their CVs. And I just wanted to come and give you some tips because I'm going to hold your hand when I say this, and I really mean it with all of my heart's best intentions, but a lot of your CVs are really not great. And if you're submitting the kind of CVs that I've seen to these different jobs, no wonder you're not getting shortlisted for a call or an interview. Because, okay, I'm going to paint a very vivid picture for you. Imagine this. Imagine you're a baker, okay, and this is synonymous to all pharmacists. Just because you're a pharmacist doesn't mean you're a regulatory affairs pharmacist, okay? And I'm going to paint this picture as clearly as possible to get you to understand why. Because once you get the principle, the underlying reasoning, you can do better. You can fix the problem. So I'm here for you. I'm rooting for you, but please lean in. Imagine there's a baking school that gives baking certificates, and 100 of you have gone through the baking program, and you all graduate with the baking certification, right? You can all bake pretty much everything: breads, pastries, cakes, pizzas, all the baking things. Okay, great. But then here comes a restaurant with a vacancy, and they say that they want not only a baker, but they want a baker who's skilled in making macaroons. Okay. And you didn't learn this at your normal regular baking school. It wasn't part of your certification at all. So, yes, you can bake. Like, how dare they ignore you? And they could probably train you on the job to make macaroons. But this restaurant needs somebody to bake the stuff from day one. You're not going to open a shop and tell your clients, oh, our baker is still learning. Please give them a few days, weeks, or months. Our display shelves are empty because we have no macaroons. And this is our specialty, by the way. We are a macaroon company, but we just took a baker that didn't have a macaroon specialty just because they're a baker, it's not going to fly. No matter how much you want to deny that or be mad at it, you just got to know how to make macaroons. Now, picture this. A regular baker from your same cohort comes and says, hey, hire me because although I'm not an expert, I may not have the additional qualification of macaroon specialty. Look, here's a macaroon that I've made. I can make macaroons. Look, I made purple one and I made a blue one. Can you see how specifically unique this candidate suddenly becomes? In light of all the other bakers who cannot make a macaroon, this baker has demonstrated that they've made two macaroons. Okay, so we're working with something. Okay, so we have the basics. And this is the point of doing training that gives you dossier experience. When you're in regulatory affairs, it does not matter how many short courses, degrees, how many postgraduate trainings you've done. It doesn't matter if you have a PhD in compliance, in regulatory affairs, in regulations, in pharmaceutical, whatever. As far as South Africa is concerned, all the market desires and requires and demands is, can you bake a macaroon? Is, have you compiled a dossier? So, what's the difference between a person that has compiled a dossier and one that hasn't? Well, you'll see in CVs where people have not compiled dossiers, they list all of their retail history, their hospital history, their volunteering history. They plump up their CVs with all of their certification in HIV this and in PMART that and in PCD this. It's all irrelevant. You are just a baker, but we need a macaroon made here. A CV that has compilations, medicine registration, self-study even, will show that, hey, I've read and interpreted SAPRA's guideline on ECTD. I understand the 3.1 specification. I understand RIMS. I understand the process of submitting a dossier. Hey, I understand how a dossier comes together. Hey, I've compiled a PI and a PIL. Hey, I've compiled or I've compared a score to a QIS. Hey, I know what a CEP is. Do you see the difference? Do you see the key words there that are sprinkled right through? Ladies and gentlemen, a CV that's worthy of RA is so easy to spot because the keywords of RA will be there in general terms. Now, let me give you the cherry on top. When there's a specific job advert, for example, Adcock will say, we need a compliance pharmacist. You will then need specific information on your CV to tailor it to the post. I cannot stress this enough. I don't know how many times I've said this in videos and over the years. You cannot submit a generic CV to different organizations. Every organization you apply to needs a tailored CV because you cannot speak Adcock's language to a SAPRA vacancy. You cannot speak SAPRA's language to an Aspen vacancy. Each organization requires its own tailored CV. On your profile section, when you mention and introduce yourself, hey, I'm a passionate pharmacist. I'm looking for a position in RA. You got to match your request to their values, to their need. If it's the regulator, you cannot address them like they're an applicant, and vice versa. You cannot say, okay, I'm looking for a position to show my skill and to learn and to grow. Nobody wants you to come and learn and grow when there's work to be done on day one. You got to come ready. You got to come prepared. If you're going to evaluate as a medicine evaluator, you need to be ready to screen, to evaluate, to spot issues, to write queries, to do all of the things. If you're compiling, you need to be able to screen, to validate, to compile. You need to be able to do deficiency lists. You need to be able to write out PILs and PIs, application forms. You need to be able to all of the things. Guys, this is serious because we can see it. All of your applications look like you spent 5 seconds on them. A well thought out CV takes time. You will need a minimum of 1 hour. That's the bare minimum. You got to put yourself in the role. You got to put yourself in the organization and ask yourself, who are they looking for and why? What is this organization? Are they a huge team? You can't come and talk about, I'm willing to learn when you're the only one that's going to be the sole RA pharmacist for the entire organization. Who are you going to learn from? Whereas if there's a huge team and there's deputies and managers and a whole lot of other people, sure, then you can learn. But if you wouldn't know that if you didn't research the organization and the position that was open, and you wouldn't know that if you spent 5 minutes throwing together a CV, changing the dates, adding your latest position and submitting it. A lousy CV shows. A reckless CV is obvious. We can spot it in 10 seconds. A CV where you haven't thought through the role, the position, where you haven't thought through what your presence is going to be in that organization is really a sore for the eyes. We can see it. Okay, back to the tips. Guys, you're going to have to spend a minimum of 1 hour plus on your CV. You're going to have to research the organization that has the vacancy, understand their values, understand their mandate, understand their objectives, understand what the pressing issue might be. Come in as the leader, as the expert. Even if you don't have 10 years experience, you are a pharmacist, a baker, and you know, should know what the latest regulations are in your industry. How many pharmacists do we come across that don't even know that PV is a thing, that GPV, that GP, um, good pharmacovigilance practice, GP, GPVP or GPP um, with a small v is a thing. How many people do we speak to on a daily basis that have no idea about the GXPs? So when you're in retail and have only been in retail, understand that there's a different world out there. Yes, you know these things in theory, by definition. You know GMP, you know pharmacovigilance, but how you implement that in an industrial setting is night and day from retail, even from hospital. So you have to immerse yourself into the upcoming role that you want to fill. As a manufacturing company, there's inspections going on. There's standards needed to be met. There's QISs or QMSs. There's ISO standards. There's GMP standards. There's a myriad of new standards that you have not yet experienced. So, yes, there is a stark difference between retail hospital and then industry. Yes, your CV cannot look like you're applying for yet another retail role. If all of your experience is retail, corporate retail, independent retail, hospital, and yet you're looking for an industry position, you haven't said one thing that matches the position at hand, whether it's production, whether it's quality, whether it's regulatory, whether it's pharmacovigilance. You need to use those words, those scenarios, those key terms. It's almost like SEOs. If you're applying for a PV role, but you haven't once mentioned PV on your CV, you're not a match. If you're applying for an RA role and your CV only talks about retail, you're not a match. So the person that differentiates themselves on their CV is the one who goes the extra mile to not only state PV or RA or relevant terms related to the vacancy at hand through self-study, through actual training and through experience. Even a lot of you omit experience that you have. Just because it was a week experiential learning doesn't mean it's irrelevant. Use it, include it. Just because you had an industry tour as a fourth year student or during your internship, use that information. So make sure your CV matches the industry and the specific vacancy you're opting for. Make sure that the match is good enough. Make sure that you sprinkle throughout your CV in your profile what you're looking for. How you know this company needs this vacancy, has this role, and how you think you're a good match because ABC. In your experience, add all of your actual experience, which is relevant. Don't go over 2 pages long. But then if you don't have actual working experience, include theoretical experience, include self-study, include short courses. You can learn a lot on the internet nowadays without paying a dime. Forget all of our fancy courses. Go on Udemy. They have really cheap courses that will give you an entry-level understanding of a topic for like 200 rands, very cheap. Granted, sometimes the instructors have hard to understand accents and you kind of have to labor through some of these courses. But if you're looking for a cheaper option, go for that. And then if you want an actual premium option that not only gives you theoretical course info, but practical and application course info, then look at organizations like Pharmers Academy. I really don't mean to brag, but look at the outline, look at the coursework, look at the outcomes, look at the real dossiers and the real experience that is provided. Go and take your experiential learning seriously. If you're still at school in fourth year, if you're still opting for internship posts, pick an industrial internship. Community service, pick an industrial community service. So I hope this helped. It wasn't a conventional CV tips. I didn't list you 10 things to add on your CV, but if you listen attentively, you got massive value out of this. So go on ahead and give this video a like, and I'll see you in the next one. If this video gets 100 likes or more, we'll do a part 2. Bye for now.